Well, North Korea was front and centre of ASEAN meetings in Manila at the weekend. The US, China, Japan and South Korea all welcoming tough new UN sanctions against the country over its nuclear weapons and ballistic missile programs. Australia was also saying that the sanctions were the correct response. Australia's Foreign Minister Julie Bishop spoke with Bloomberg's Haslinda Amin about the biggest risks to global stability.
I think it would be the slow and uneven economic growth that we're seeing around the globe. So we're seeing that economic growth, or the lack of it, is leading to instability in a number of areas. And I've been speaking to people around the world in recent months, and so often one of the drivers of instability, one of the drivers of extremism, one of the drivers of terrorism is a lack of economic opportunity. So we haven't seen the growth that we had hoped post the 2008 global financial crisis. So I would say slow economic growth is in fact one of the greatest drivers of instability.
You talk about instability. Some might say that North Korea is causing that with the launch of the 2 ballistic missiles. The UN Security Council has responded with the toughest set of sanctions yet. Will they be successful in reining in North Korea?
It is certainly a step in the right direction. The United States has been calling on all nations to uphold the UN Security Council resolution on sanctions, and overnight we've seen great progress. Not only are the permanent members of the Security Council unanimous on this point, but they are quite extensive sanctions, including banning of exports from North Korea of coal and iron ore and iron and seafood. That will have an impact on North Korea's ability to fund its ballistic missile and nuclear weapons programs, but also the restriction on foreign workers and the remittances that come from North Korean foreign workers, again, will have an impact on North Korea's ability to continue with these dangerous and provocative ballistic missile tests and the continuance of its nuclear weapons program.
But these sanctions are the third set of sanctions in 18 months. What makes you so sure they will work? I mean, North Korea has shown to be very resilient to all these sanctions.
Ultimately, the North Korean regime must focus on the needs of its impoverished people. And we have been urging North Korea to abide by the international laws, abide by the UN Security Council resolutions that prevent North Korea from pursuing a ballistic missile and nuclear weapons program. Its activities are illegal, and focus their efforts instead on improving the lot of the impoverished people of North Korea. Now, these sanctions are an addition to those that have been imposed in the past, but the message is clear. All 5 permanent members, that includes China, Russia, are determined to prevent North Korea from continuing down this provocative and dangerous and illegal path. So we'll see how effective they are. Of course, it's only just been announced, but we must maintain pressure on North Korea to change its behaviour. It is a risk to the region. It's certainly a global threat.
Is there a sense that the global community is running out of options to deal with North Korea? And is it fair to say that America's non-proliferation policy over the last 25 years have failed?
No, I don't believe that's the case at all. In fact, I think we're now seeing progress. In the last few years, North Korea's ability to carry out these tests has obviously increased. The frequency of the tests has increased, and now we're seeing a united effort from the P5 in particular, a unanimous UN Security Council resolution on further sanctions is a very positive step. Of course, we must prevent North Korea from becoming a nuclear empowered nation, and the idea that another illegal nuclear state should be allowed to exist is unacceptable. Of course, it would lead to an arms race, because other nations would feel that they would have no option but to gain nuclear weapons as a defence. So it's very important that we continue to work collectively and ensure that the sanctions are not only agreed but are implemented universally, then they'll have an impact.
Is using force to neutralise the threat an option at all?
Well, the United States has maintained that all options are on the table, but clearly that would be the worst of a series of bad options. What we're looking to do is ensure that all nations abide by the UN Security Council resolution on sanctions and implement them universally, and then that will lead, hopefully, to an opportunity for dialogue with North Korea.